Hello and greetings to everyone. We have the following question to answer. It says that given that f of x is equal to 2x minus 3 and g of x is equal to 5x plus 1 for x belonging to the set of real numbers. X belonging to the set of real numbers is the domain of the two functions. We are to find f of negative 2. Let's write down solution. First one for we have to find f of negative 2. First, we know f of x, the function f of x, is simply equal to 2x minus 3. Now we have to find f of negative 2. For us to get f of negative 2, it simply means in our function f of x, anywhere we see x, we have to replace x with negative 2. So this will give us 2 times, 2x is simply 2 times x. So here we have to replace x with negative 2. 2 times negative 2 minus 3. This is simply equal to 2 times negative 2. We are multiplying a positive number by a negative number, so the result will be negative. 2 times 2 gives us 4. So our result here will be negative 4 minus 3. This will simply be equal to, these two numbers are negative, so we are going to factor out the negative sign. We are going to put it out. Then we add the two numbers, 4 plus 3. So this will simply give us negative, 4 plus 3 gives us 7. F of negative 2 is simply equal to negative 7. Next, for 2i says we should find g of 3 feet. We need to first of all start by writing down the function g of x. G of x is simply equal to 5x plus 1. For us to get g of 3 feet, it simply means in the function g of x, anywhere we see x, we have to replace x with 3 feet. So this will give us 5 times, I'll replace x with 3 feet, plus this one. This is simply the same as 5 all over 1 times 3 all over 5 plus 1. So if we simplify this, if we multiply, this 5 will cancel 5. We'll be left with 1 times 3, which is 3. 1 all over 1 times 1, which is 1. This will give us 3 over 1. And 3 over 1 is this as 3. So this will give us 3 plus 1. 3 plus 1 is simply equal to 4. So g of 3 feet is 4. 3i says we should find f inverse. We have to find f inverse of x. For us to find f inverse of x, first thing we are going to do is we are going to let the function f of x to be equal to any variable of our choice, any unknown. But the unknown should be different from x because our function is in terms of x. So you can start by let f of x to be equal to, let's make use of any unknown of our choice, but it should be different from x. Let's make use of the letter e. F of x is equal to e. F of x is equal to e. We know f of x is equal to 2x plus 3. 2x plus 3 is equal to e. From this, f of x is equal to e. F of x is equal to 2x minus 3. Let me correct this. 2x minus 3. We have 2x minus 3 is equal to e. Next, we are to make x the subject of formula. So first thing, we are going to send 3 negative 3 to the right hand side, which becomes positive. So this will give us 2x to be equal to a plus 3 as such. For us to get x, we are going to divide all through by the coefficient of x, which is 2. Divide both sides by 2. 2 will cancel this 2. We'll simply be left with x equal to a plus 3 all over 2. Now, for us to get our inverse function, we are simply going to replace the variable a with x. Then our x here now will become the inverse function f inverse of x. So we are going to write therefore f inverse of x is simply equal to, we are going to replace a here with x plus 3 all over 2. So this is our inverse function. Take for example in I we calculated f of negative 2. We had negative 7. This is negative 2. Negative 2 is in the domain. Then in the codomain we have negative 7. So from here to here is our function f of x. From here back to here is our inverse function f inverse. Now let's calculate f of negative 7. F inverse of negative 7. If we calculate f inverse of negative 7, the result should be equal to negative 2. So this will simply be equal to, anywhere we see x here, we have to replace x with negative 7. This will give us negative 7 plus 3 divided by 2. So this will be equal to negative 7 plus 3 gives us negative 4 divided by 2, which is equal to negative 2. We can say it. So this is our inverse function. Take note of it. Next, we have to calculate g inverse of x. G inverse of x. We know our function. Calculate g inverse of x. So for us to calculate this, we are still going to let our function g of x to be equal to any variable of our choice, any unknown which is different from x. In this case, let's make use of the letter b. So we know g of x, that is, we know g of x is simply equal to 2x plus 5x plus 1. G of x is equal to 5. Cancel this 5x plus 1 is equal to b as such. Next, we have to make x the subject of formula. So we are going to transfer 1 this way, which becomes negative. 5x will be equal to b minus 1. Next, we need to make the coefficient of x to be 1. So we are going to divide all through by 5. 5x divided by 5 is equal to b minus 1 divided by 5. So 5 will cancel 5. We'll be left with x equal to b minus 1 over 5. Therefore, for our inverse function, g inverse of x will simply be equal to, we are going to replace the variable b with x. So this will simply be equal to x minus 1 all over 5. It's our inverse function. Next, let's go to question D. D says we should find f of g of x. This is a composite function, the composite of two functions. So in this case, we know this is simply equal to f. That means in the function f of x, anywhere we see x, we have to replace x with the function g of x. We know our function f of x is equal to 2x minus 3 and our function g of x is equal to 5x plus 1. Now our function f of g of x will simply be equal to the function f of x. Anywhere I see x, I'll replace x with g of x. You know, g of x is simply equal to 5x plus 1. So this will simply be equal to, in the function f of x, anywhere I see x, I'll replace x with 5x plus 1. So this will give us 2 times, I'll replace this x with 5x plus 1 minus 3. Next, I will expand the bracket. This will give us 2 times 5x, which is 10x, plus 2 times 1, which is 2, minus 3. So this is simply equal to 10x. 2 minus 1 gives us negative 1. We're going to conclude therefore composite function f of g of x is simply equal to 10x minus 1. We're done. Next, vi says we should find g of f of x. G of f of x is simply equal to, that means in the function g of x, anywhere we see x, we have to replace x with the function f of x. That's what it means. So this will simply be equal to g of, f of x is simply equal to 2x minus 3. So this will simply be equal to, our function g of x is 5x plus 1. So anywhere I see x, I'll replace x with 2x minus 3. 5 times 2x minus 3 is 5 times 2x minus 3 plus 1. Next, we have to expand this bracket. This will give us 5 times 2x, which is 10x. 5 times negative 3 gives us negative 15 plus 1. This is simply equal to 10x. Negative 15 plus 1 gives us negative 14. Therefore, g of f of x is simply equal to 10x minus 14. Take note, you will discover that if you compare f of g of x to g of f of x, you see that they are not the same. So you take note, f of g of x is not equal to g of f of x. You take note of this. Next, the next question says dii says we should find f of g of 3. So this will simply be equal to, for us to get f of g of 3, we are simply going to make use of the composite function f of g of x. In the function f of g of x, anywhere we see x, we have to replace x with 3. So this will simply be equal to 10 times, I'll replace x here with 3 minus 1. This is simply equal to 30 minus 1. 30 minus 1 is simply equal to 29. This is the result. Next, the next question says we should find f inverse of g inverse of 1. To find f inverse of g inverse of 1. For us to find this first, we need to first of all start by finding f inverse of g inverse of x. This is simply equal to, we go to the function f inverse of x, we replace x with g inverse of x. This is what we have to do. First, Luckily we calculated the inverse functions. We know f inverse of x is simply equal to x plus 3 all over 2, and g inverse of x is equal to x minus 1 all over 5. So f inverse of g inverse of x is simply equal to f inverse, this is f inverse of, we have to replace x with g inverse of x. G inverse of x is x minus 1 all over 5. This is simply equal to, in the function f inverse of x, anywhere I see x, I'll replace x with x minus 1 all over 5. So this will give us, put in a bracket as such, since this is a fraction, x minus 1 all over 5 plus 3 all over 2. Next, we need now to simplify. This will give us, if I take x minus 1 all over 5 plus 3, I write 3 as 3 over 1. By look for the LCM of 5 and 1, the LCM is simply 5. 5 divided by 5 will give us 1. 1 times x minus 1 remains x minus 1. The equation sign is plus. Bring it down. 5 divided by 1 gives us 5. 5 times 3 gives us 15. So this will simply give us, we simplify what we have here in the numerator. This will give us x negative 1 plus 15 gives us 14. X plus 14 over 5. So here the numerator, I'll replace this with x plus 14 all over 5 all over 2. So in this case now, we are dividing the fraction by a whole number. We know this 2 here, the denominator can be written as 2 over 1. This 2 here. So this will simply give us x plus 14 over 5 times, we are going to multiply this. I'll put the dot here for multiplication, times, we are going to invert the last fraction. This will give us times a half, which is simply equal to x plus 14. Because we multiply all this, if you take all this, you multiply by 1. If you multiply this numerator by 1, remains the same, x plus 14 all over. Next, we have to multiply the denominators. 5 times 2 will give us 10. So this gives us our f inverse of g inverse of x as x plus 14 over 10. Now we can look for f inverse of g inverse of 1. This will simply be equal to, anyway we see x here in the function f inverse of g inverse of x, we are going to replace it with 1. This will give us 1 plus 14 all over 10, which is simply equal to 1 plus 14 gives us 15 all over 10. We can further simplify this. 5 will go into 15 3 times, and 5 will go into 10 2 times, which we can decide to write this as a mixed fraction. This will give us whole number part as 1 and the proper fractional part as a half. So we are done. We are done with the solution of the questions. In case there are any doubts, make sure you ask your questions at the comment section. Like the video, share and subscribe to this channel. Thank you very much for watching.